Alright guys, so I'm going to be showing you how to set up the Simplicity COSS Bot. So what you want to do is go to GitHub first and come to the github.com/umar259/simplicityw10 page. The links will be in the description of the video below. And you'll see here this actually is the executable for Windows 10. I haven't actually built it yet for Linux and Ubuntu. I'll be doing that for Linux and Mac, sorry. Um, I'll be doing that shortly once I've submitted this bot for the COSS Bot competition. So, but if you do want to get started quickly, you can go to the source code. If you see here, this is the Python source code. It's on github.com/umar259/simplicity. So it's the source code for the bot, and the description of how to install it, install Python and set up the bot is here. It's pretty straightforward, so I won't go into too much detail. But if you do need help, you can contact me on Telegram directly. So I'm going to go back to the Windows executable. That's this GitHub repository, and I'm going to download the executable as a zip file. So just click this and then click download zip, and you'll see once it's downloaded, I'm going to extract it to my downloads folder. So once it's extracted, if you open it, this is the main folder that you need, simplicity-w10. You can save it somewhere to your desktop or somewhere where you'll remember. I'm just going to save it, I'm just going to leave it here for now. And once you open it, you'll see this executable file inside called simplicity.exe. So that's what you want to run. Once you run the bot, it should load up shortly. You'll see you're greeted by the home page. It just has information about the bot. I actually haven't really updated this too much. I will be keeping it up to date in the future with any updates that I have. So if you switch to the strategy tab, you'll see in your terminal or command line window here that there's an API error. That's because we haven't actually entered our API keys yet. So you can grab your public and private API keys from the COSS Bot, from the COSS Exchange. Just go under API Management and create a key there. If you need help, you can ask people in the community on how to create a key. So I'm going to just copy my keys in here. And once I've copied the keys, I'm going to hit save without actually modifying the settings. I just want to show that the API is connecting and it's working. So once you hit save, it'll either say your strategy settings will be applied or it'll say invalid API keys entered. So if you entered invalid API keys, you did something wrong and the bot will warn you about that. So go back and get your API keys and enter them correctly. So I'm going to hit OK. So what it does by default is it takes you to the run page, but we don't want to start the strategy yet because we didn't really configure it. So if you go back to the strategy page now, you'll see that there's no more errors and that your balance and is loading from the exchange. That means your API is working correctly. So I'm going to switch to the pair I'm going to be trading on. That's going to be UBC Ethereum. So now that I'm on UBC, you'll see the balance of UBC that I have and my Ethereum balance. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to apply the grid settings. So first of all, order size is basically the size of UBC that I want each grid order to be placed on. So here, for example, you need to make sure that your order is above the minimum threshold. Right now, I haven't actually implemented a check to make sure it's above, but I will eventually. But for now, you guys should make sure you're entering an amount that's above the minimum tradable threshold. So to check the minimum threshold, you can just go to the COSS exchange and actually check on the pair what is the minimum amount of UBC that needs to be traded per trade pair. If you see here, if I select a price of, let's say, 6.5, if I enter 100, it says the minimum amount must be 2,219, but that's based on the minimum value of Ethereum. So just to be safe, for my bot, I'm gonna set it to 3,000 as the price of UBC will vary. So if I set this to 3,000, you'll see the error for minimum value is gone now. So I'm gonna use this value in my bot. Now, what the grid distance is basically the distance between each grid. So the grid basically creates like an order on the buy side and the sell side. And what you want to do is make sure that your grid is evenly spread apart so that it's more effective. So if you go back to the exchange, you'll see that this order 5-8 and 5-2 are a difference of 6 apart. So what you can also do is if you want a really tight spread, you can just set a grid distance of 1, and your orders will be placed 58, 57, 56, 55, 54, and on the sell side it'll be like 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. Or you can have your grid spread further apart. You can set this to, let's say, 5, 8. If you set it to like 10, it'll be 58, 48, 38, 28, and the other side will be 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever. So I'm going to set my grid distance to 4 for this example. Obviously it's not 4, this is I think 4 Gui or something. I don't know what the actual measurement is. It's 7 zeros I think, and then 1. So it's actually 6 zeros, 6 zeros, and then each of my grids are going to be 4 units apart. So I'm going to set, now I'm going to set the sell price range and the buy price range. This is important because you need to make, like, let's say the price of um, the pair that you're trading changes dramatically, and you don't want your bot to be suddenly trading at like 0.000001 UBC. You'll be losing a lot of money that way. So what this does is it limits that your grids are only created within the price range that you set. So if I go back to the exchange, I can see that the highest buy order right now is 5-8, and the lowest sell order is 6-5. So I want to keep my range between, let's say, 6 and 7 for the sell side, and between 6 and 4 for the buy side. That way, if the price falls below 4, it won't sell the remaining of my funds, and if the price goes above 7, it won't sell my UBC. It'll actually hold it because that means the price is growing, and you want to hold on to it. So I'm going to go back here. So obviously in this scenario, the red part means the lower order and the green part means the higher side of the order. So for the sell price range, I'm going to range from 60 to 70, and for buy, I'm going to range from 50 to 60. Obviously, I don't want my sell and buy price range overlapping, so I'm going to keep it one off there. So, and the number of grids here basically is the number of grids it'll create on each side. So if you select it as 2, it'll create only 1 buy order and 1 sell order. And then once that buy order is sold, it'll create an order on the sell side, and once the sell order is sold, it'll create an order on the buy side. But if you want to increase it, so let's say I increase it to 4. If it's set to 4, it'll basically create 2 buy orders and 2 sell orders. So this is my strategy. I'm going to save this. And once you save it again, it's going to say your strategy settings will be applied. If there's some error, it'll print it there. I actually haven't implemented any checking for minimum orders and stuff, but I'll do that eventually. So you won't have to go to the exchange and check what the minimum order is. So once you've had that set up, I know it says demo mode here yet, but I didn't have time to complete that yet, so you can't actually run it in demo mode. If you enable it, it won't do anything. It'll still run as normal mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit start. And then once you start, you'll see it's already creating the orders. So it created one order at 5.9, it created one order at 5.5, and then well, this is 5.6. Then it created one order at 6.0, and then the second order in 6.4. This is the sell side. So if I go back to the exchange, so if you see here now, there's my 4 orders that were created. One is created at 5.5, 5.9. You can see it on the chart here as well, 6.0 and 6.4. So now what the grid does is basically, because my grid distance was 4, if this order gets filled 5 9, it'll immediately replace that order on the sell side, and it'll increase this distance by the grid distance, which is basically setting your profit as well. So if this is at 5 9, it'll set, if this order gets filled, it should place an order at 6 2. Yeah, wait, did I set 5 or 4? If I go back to strategy, I set my grid distance as 4. So it'll basically increase by from 5 9, it'll go to 6 6 1 6 2 6 3. So it should place the order at 6 3 if this works correctly. So what I'm going to do is, just to demo that, I'm actually going to fill the order manually on the exchange. So once I fill this order, hopefully it should it should create another order on the sell side at 6 3. So I'm going to do that. So if you're monitoring here, you'll see that eventually it's going to get to that order and it's going to check. Right now I have the time for checking a little bit less. I mean, like a little bit higher, so that it doesn't flood the API, but I will be improving the timing on this to make the strategy better. But anyway, so you see here it says order 1 was completed. Now it's creating new order on opposite side. So what happened here is, if you look at the history, buy order 1 was completed, creating sell order on opposite grid, and it created a sell order at 6-3 now. So if you see here, sell order 1 created at 6-3, and we can see that's created right here, and that's our order size, 3000 UBC. So in this case, because you're doing limit orders, there's no fees, you would have made a small profit. Now, if let's say that order gets filled, 6-3, it'll automatically create a 5-9 order. And then if the price for this UBC stays within this range, over time you'll stand to make a lot of money. And if you look at the history, you'll see that it's moving within this range. So it's a good range to keep, and you'll see that you'll make some profit slowly. Obviously, obviously right now, you can't run multiple instances of the bot on other pairs from this page directly. So if you want to do that, you need to create a copy of the folder and run it separately. So you'll need to run multiple instances of the bot. So you can go back here, go to simplicity, just copy this folder. And then you can just rename it to whatever you want, like just to keep track of your pairs. So if this is simplicity COSS Ethereum, just open it, launch the bot again. That should run another instance of the bot. And you see here that this is the previous history, but don't worry about that. This will be overwritten once you start over. And if you go to your strategy, because you copied it with the API keys, you don't need to re-enter your API keys. Everything is there. So here you can switch to another pair that you want to bot on, for example, COSS. And then you can set up your strategy for COSS, save it and run it, and it will run the same way. So that's how you can run multiple instances on the same PC.